Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing now with NVivo. So I shall import a file. Here comes the first round of what can often be a challenge. If I want to bring in the audio file, it might work, but sometimes NVivo will say, don't recognize that file type. So I'm just going to work with the audio for this one, assuming it will import an M4A. Often with videos, you need to download a codec pack. You can also see, so this is the new NVivo, which is often has a very laggy interface. Okay, so I brought in, that's fine. Now, I'll open that up and I will go to say import transcript rows. So I click edit. Having clicked edit, I can say import rows. This is where a lot of the earlier work becomes so important, because chances of this working first time are minimal. So the transcript, the NVivo table, I will say open. And I then need to say I want to create one transcript for each table row. So this was the reason for bringing it in as table rows. Field 1, I'm going to say, so this is the time span, this is the content, and this is the speaker. So it's really important to connect these up. So we're saying field 1, remember that was just the auto numbering for the field. If I say OK, it says records 11 to 12, start times are out of sequence. This was why I needed to include the table rows in to auto number the table rows. So I now know that 11 to 12, it said, basically what we're seeing here is that there is the same timestamp here. So I need to change that so there is no duplication. At this stage, I might want to eyeball the rest of it and just see, is there anything else where they are duplicated? But you may find that this happens quite a bit. So I'm now going to save that file, close it, go back into NVivo, find the updated file, say open, again table row, again check time span is correct, speaker is correct, content is correct, and click OK. This time it's brought it in fine. But the really key thing was that's why you need to include the table row. If you include the table row, it makes that debugging easy. If you do not include the table row, you're going to have to go through and manually count those rows. So this has now brought that in. And again, I can, in this, I can play and pause.
Okay. Yeah, it's the thing that I'm really interested in.
Again, benefits. I can slow that down.
The argument I hear from people against auto transcription,
I can boost the sound, the audio volume,
is often saying, "Oh well, you get really close."
And again, I then have some opportunities here. So one thing I can do is I can right-click an auto code using the style or structure and say I want to use speaker as a transcript field. So yes, okay. Selected transcript fields as speaker. I would like to do this under an existing folder. choose cases, say OK, and finish. What this will do is it will automatically code this with case codes. So again, if I now go to my view, I should be able to see the coding stripes have been applied. Now, one thing with NVivo, it codes both the audio and the video and the transcript together, so the two are locked together. But I can now go through this, and again,
Most of the data by transcribing manually.
So here I might spot the max QTA. I need to change that. Max QTA. So a discussion about different programs. Again. And there are some other things here. Coding for patio or emotion, I find that unlikely.
Whereas I think that if you go...
And again, I have the options to say I would like this synchronized. So I can jump down here and say, that looks wrong.
Yeah, so what you've just described, Steve, I think you...
And I should be able to pick a row and jump to that point.
Of course, you can edit the files inside MaxQDA just by going in.
So this allows you to working through things. So you can have the synchronization, slowing down, correcting, and again, you've then got the engagement possibilities. So I can select that text and say new annotation and make notes, this equivalent of notes in the margin. I can make notes as I'm reading and as I'm correcting. And the other thing I might want to do here is code some of the data, some of the transcript. And this is where it can be useful. Say I could like to create a new code called need to look up. And that codes that to a new code I created, just saying, I need to look this up. I don't quite know what that is. I might create a couple of codes for things like unclear or need to return to, but probably that initial coding, you wouldn't be trying to do a major thematic coding. What you're doing is you're correcting the transcript, but you're giving yourself access to tools that allow you to check the speaker is correct, which you should obviously do before you autocode by speaker, to check that the transcript is correct using the playback controls and the edit functions. But while you're doing that, you have the opportunity to engage with the data and have that engagement as part of your in part of your analysis environment through annotating, just making some annotations, but also potentially initial kind of reflexive and engagement codes of things that don't know what that means, need to come back to that. You know, if somebody uses an acronym you don't understand, you don't know if it's transcribed correctly, and you don't know what the acronym means. Those become useful because that's the next stage of engagement with the data. So you can think about it, you can make notes about it, and then you can start thinking and being very purposeful. So the other thing that becomes very useful here would be at the end of the process to link a memo where you might write up. So link to a new memo, this would be transcript memo Silver. And here at the end of this correction and initial notes, I would be making a linked memo where this would be my first memo and note about the experience of transcribing, anything I noted, channels of audio perhaps. So this might be notes for the next interview, but this is this is one of the advantages that by doing this here, compared with manually transcribing out with your environment, these initial engagements with the data are then part of your analysis, part of that whole project. So those are the processes for NVivo.